I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, The Moats Theory of Life. If you haven't picked up a copy yet, I strongly encourage you to. This book not only is a fun read, but it's a guide to helping you become a person of impact and inspiration. If you are ready to take the next step to improving not only your life, but those around you as well, go get a copy of The Moats Theory of Life, and it's available at moatstheory.com. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up, bro?
Man, first off, I got a lot of things on my chest that I got to get off.
Yeah.
I mean, and I actually had a list of other good things that I want to talk about today, too. We talked about this prior to the day. Like, we're going to chat about the Steelers, man, some of these rankings. Obviously, baseball coming back, man. They agreed upon you see the jersey. I'm like, all right, cool. And I got to thinking back. I was like, you know what? The Bubba Wallace situation, man, you know what? Let's readdress it because some new information that came out since we had past recorded. But then today, some more information came out. Some information that isn't a surprise to me, honestly, because I was just thinking about everything that I said the other day when we talked about how, man, this is jacked up that you're still getting racist, actually still getting hatred and things like that. Obviously, it was a noose found in there. And people were like, well, no. Remember, this can't be a noose. It's a pull rope. A pull rope. That's what they were saying, right? A pull rope. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I said, man, okay. Richard Petty, right? That's the team. I said, man, Richard Petty drove for years, decades. And then he's been in the business for decades. I think about his team, the workers there, decades. I think about the other people that's been working there. I said, man, you mean to tell me all of them confusing a pull rope with a noose? Like, this is unheard of. Like, borderline, like just scary if they can't tell the difference, right? And then obviously, the national media got a hold of it and they said, well, no, the FBI investigated and they said it wasn't a hate crime, even though they were still referring to it as a noose. They still were like, oh, no, it's not a hate crime. So we had posted our video. Like I said, we had obviously recorded before some of that information came out. So I go through and I look at the comments. I just look, I like to look at the comments every once in a while. Shout out to all the people that do make comments. So we go check it out. You know what I mean? And some of the comments that we got, man. Well, it was not true. The FBI did investigate, and it was there since October 2019. That's 89ers. All right, shout out. Then let's see the next one. But it was just a rope in the garage. Jesse Smollett, too. That's Steely Mike. Okay, shout out. All right, then we had fact check, please. Ton of question marks. That was Michael. #90. Okay, all right, okay. Shout out to X Concepts 1, though. He said, before bashing my man 55, give him a chance, to go back and get some more information because obviously I recorded before. But that's neither here nor there, so shout out to you. Here's one. This one was for you too, Deke. Sad to see Arthur Moats and Deke are obviously addicted to and brainwashed by social media and fake news. That was Terry Dactyl. Oh, sorry, shout out Terry Dactyl. I like the name actually. Okay. Then we had one. Shouldn't talk if you're not up on what really happened and what the results were. That's JG Blues. Okay. Oh, here we go. This one for both of us too. Race baiting clowns. Race baiting clowns are never going to look good. That's Orange Car Bad. Okay, fair enough. All right. Oh, here we go. Missing the whole truth, buddy. This is Chris 7576. All right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Man, should I keep going?
It's up to you, dude.
We might as well keep that same energy. All right. Let's see. Come on, Moats. Man, all it takes is a little research to see that it was there over a year ago and was initially used to close the garage doors before probably one of his friends cut it. And if you don't believe me, you'll believe the FBI. Huh. Interesting. Now, today, since we weren't up on our facts, allegedly, today, this is what came out. So, first off, there was a picture that was tweeted out by NASCAR. Showing the rope. I sent you the picture. We're actually going to include the picture in this video. So everybody that I just named off, y'all can see it firsthand. Because when I said, you don't confuse a noose with a pull rope, I'm not even into the whole rope business, but I know the difference between a pull rope and a noose. It's tied drastically different. I don't want to hear none of that. So I sent you the picture. What did the picture look like?
It was a noose, dude. Even the far away picture was a noose. You could tell. Yes.
So it was a noose. Okay. And anybody that hasn't checked it, I strongly encourage you to go look at it. Okay. It's a noose, without a doubt. Now, the NASCAR president even went and spoke, because NASCAR got a lot of flack too. They was like, oh man, you're trying to, make this a race thing and big up Bubba Wallace and all, and discredited everything that was transpiring. Oh, the Black Lives Matter, I don't want to hear none of that. Oh man, all them dudes out there just trying to push Bubba Wallace to the front, walking with the man. That was all for show, man. It doesn't matter, man. Y'all always want to make it a race thing. Not everything is racist, this and that. Now, mind you, we didn't even talk about this on the podcast, but just a week ago, remember, Bubba Wallace was huge in terms of getting the Confederate flag banned from NASCAR, from all NASCAR events. It was a big deal, national news. People loved it and people hated it. And I said, okay, all right. If you hate the fact that he got the Confederate flag banned from NASCAR, I mean, you know what the Confederate flag stands for. We know what that stands for. We know what they were fighting for. So if you're supporting that, what are you really supporting here? But that's neither here nor there. But the NASCAR president, Steve Phelps, he went and says this today. He says, NASCAR conducted a thorough sweep of all 29 tracks where they race. 29 tracks where they race. Shout out to all 29. I plan on visiting all 29. That's on my new bucket list. Just throwing that out there. But through a sweep of all 29 tracks where they race in 1,684 garage stalls. Let me repeat that number again. 1,684 garage stalls. They found only 11 total ropes that had been tied as a pull down rope, tied in a knot in that fashion, right? Pull down rope fashion. Only 11 out of 1,684. And of that 11, it was just one that was tied in the form of a noose. And we all can know, it's not even a surprise, but we know who stall that was, and that was the one for Bubba Wallace. So for the people that want to say Jesse Smollett, for the people that want to say, oh, this is Bubba Smollett or Jesse Wallace and all this, first off, two totally different situations. And if you don't know the information, you need to read up on the facts, because with Bubba, he wasn't the one that found it. He wasn't the one that reported it. He didn't do anything. He was just the victim of it. But people are quick to always point the finger and say, well, you're not really a victim, man. You lying. You're not really a victim. You're this, you're there. Why do we do that in society? I don't really know. But for me, I'm fed up with it, especially when it comes to stuff like this, where it's involving racism. And for the people that are going to still say, well, the FBI. You realize the FBI, they investigated Jeffrey Epstein too, right? You saw that turned out, right? They investigated a lot of people. Their track record isn't the best. Let's be real about it, okay? So miss me with all this FBI stuff, miss me with all this police investigation stuff, miss me with all that. When it's racist, we know it's racist. And forgive us for wanting to support Bubba Wallace and support the other NASCAR drivers that decided to back Bubba through this situation, because it is a very jacked up situation. And let's be real. Anybody in NASCAR would tell you firsthand, they don't have the best track record when it comes to minorities. In fact, it's only one minority driver right now, Bubba Wallace, which is why this is such a big deal. So next time, my amazing people, the amazing people that follow us, man, the subscribers and all that stuff, before you come on and want to hop on that comment section and say reckless, outlandish things, make sure you do your research, because you're not going to tell me that there was a mix-up. You're not going to tell me that there was some type of miscommunication, some type of misunderstanding between a noose and a pull rope, when it is clear as day that is a damn noose. And we all know what a noose means. We all know what a noose stands for. We all know the history of the noose. So forgive me for that. I don't have no time for y'all, all right? I don't. It's pissing me off. I'm tired of it, bro. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. It's 2020, baby. We ain't got time for racism no more. It's over. And if you're not against racism, bro, then I'm against you. That's how it is. It is what it is, man. So I'm off my soapbox now. You go ahead and talk, bro.
Nah, that's cool, man. I guess one of the things I was thinking is, like, why can't it just, like, the whole situation, all of it be true, I guess, where it is clear as day. It's a noose. And I don't think NASCAR was in the wrong. I don't think Bubba Wallace, how he responded, or how the NASCAR drivers, I don't think any of that was wrong. Like, that would be concerning if you see it like that hanging right there. If you haven't seen it before, like you mentioned, in all these other garages. I mean, it was a noose. So NASCAR did their due diligence, and Bubba Wallace, I don't know exactly even what he did, but what I do know
didn't do anything.
is Bubba Wallace and the NASCAR drivers, they came together and showed support. Like, if that's the initial overreaction to it, what bad is that? What's the harm in that?
Exactly. My thing is this. What, like you said, if that was, I just put it in context like this, right? So obviously we know for a fact it was a noose, but just for entertainment purposes, say it wasn't a noose. Say there was this big misunderstanding. you don't think that NASCAR was right for reporting that initially? Imagine if they didn't report it and it was a noose, which it was, and something did happen major where they had messed with this car or anything along those lines, and it got out that NASCAR didn't say anything, that nobody said anything because they didn't want to be wrong, because they were very, very concerned about ruffling the feathers of some of the people that believe that racism doesn't exist in 2020, which, newsflash, it still does. So for me, if NASCAR wouldn't have said anything, I would have been more appalled at them for that. I would much rather they had went with how they did and they had been completely wrong. Absolutely. I'd rather you be completely wrong. Trust me. We wanted it to be that wasn't the case. When the news came out that, hey, they said, man, the FBI investigation, this and that, it wasn't the news. I was like, okay, this is great. This is good. Why do people want to take a victory as if, oh man, nah, now we're going to bash him for that because he wasn't really no victim of no hate crime. He was really no victim of a noose being put in. Since when? Why is that a good thing? What does that make you look good? Does that make you feel witty? Does that make you feel important? No, it makes you like an asshole. That's what it makes you look like. So for me, I have an issue with that. And we do this so much. We do it time and time again, not just when it comes to racism. We can go down the list of the different things where we will victimize the victim. That's what we do. The victim does this. Oh, the victim says that. Now, you know what? Let's point at the victim. Matter of fact, you're in trouble now. That's what we do so often. Why? Do better. We all got to do better because I'm included in this. We all got to do better. I'm just frustrated with it right now, man.
Yeah, because I don't think either side, NASCAR or Bubba, is trying to make this bigger than what it should have. I don't think they're trying to make up stories just to make up stories. And
how does that even help them?
No, it doesn't. And I guess the other. So you have the so-called overreactions in both ways, where the overreaction to the initial report is there was some unity. We saw the videos. Which is
beautiful, man. It was beautiful.
I guess the problem is the overreaction on the other side, where there is harm when you're judging someone's character. That, like, there is some harm in that, where you don't know if you were in Bubba's situation, how you would react. I mean, I'd probably be pretty concerned too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you're talking about NASCAR, you're talking about how fast these guys are going around these curves. Someone mess with a lug here, a nut there, trip this, mess with that. Midway through your car trip out, man, that's life and death. We've seen people die in races before. So I don't think it was an overreaction at all. And when you think about how the other people around him responded,
like I don't know how he's feeling at all in that type of situation. I have no clue. So that's what I mean. It's just not right to judge. I mean, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt no matter what, that he's trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely, man.
And NASCAR. So
absolutely.
That's kind of my spin. I'm trying to think if I had anything else. I guess a criticism could be, it's like, wait for the facts and all that stuff to come out. But at the same time, in this instance, there wasn't a person that Bubba or NASCAR was reputation smearing.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It was just like, all right, this situation's happened. Bubba's like, I feel this way. NASCAR feels this way. NASCAR drivers feel this way. And you know what? We're going to get together. Yeah. So this wasn't like a Myles Garrett Mason situation.
That wasn't the situation.
So like there wasn't the whole innocent or guilty till proven innocent type of thing. There wasn't anyone to point to. It was just like, this is going on. Like, this is problematic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I guess that's I guess you put it well. I think I put my take out there. So
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Period. So now I'm back to regularly scheduled programming, man. With that being said, man, baseball is coming back, baby. That's what they said, man. So how you feeling about the Pirates, man? You excited, man? Last time we talked about the Pirates, man, coming back, you said, man, you gonna watch all the games. There's only 60 of them now, baby.
I didn't even know they were. I didn't even hear it was coming back until you were wearing this jersey, to be honest with you.
So when we came in, was that Monday? I guess we recorded? Yeah, I think it was Monday when we recorded. No, Tuesday. It would have been Tuesday when we recorded. That's when the both players and owners said they couldn't agree, but they allowed the commissioner to go ahead and put the hard, hey, it's going to be this. And from there, he said it was going to be 60 games. Players had a chance to agree or disagree with that. And then as of yesterday, I want to say it was when they officially said they do agree to it. And I thought it was pretty cool, man. 60 games is a nice little sprint. Shorter than your traditional basketball season, way shorter than your baseball season by 102 games, I believe it is. So when I think about that, I love that element of it. I think it's going to be a lot more exciting because every game is going to matter now. Then also, I thought it was a unique addition that they added, though, because of the COVID-19 situation, where the players that live with somebody that is pregnant or at high risk, they don't have to play and they can get paid still. Okay. But if a player doesn't live with somebody that's pregnant or somebody that's high risk, they still have to play. If they don't play, they won't get paid. So I thought that was a cool little caveat in there to, I guess, help ease some of the players' minds that are with high risk people. Even though for me, I still was saying to myself, like, just because you're low risk, that doesn't mean it's no risk. You still could catch it. And it still isn't enough information out there to say that, oh man, if you catch it, you're still going to be all right. Like for me, that part was still a little, I guess, heavy handed in terms of making guys who still might not feel comfortable going out there and playing because of this. They still are kind of forced to do it in that regard. But overall, I thought that was probably the best compromise from the MLB.
Yeah, dude, that sounds good to me. I mean, what's the with the jersey you got on? You got the 55, you got the Moats. My question is, are you kind of like other Pirates fans who will do that? They'll get a jersey without the name on the back or the number, or just the typical player number or anything like that, just because they think someone's going to be getting traded. Is that what's going on?
First off, that does happen a lot, and you're right. A lot of the Pirates fans I talk to, you either go super throwback or you go custom, or you go no name, because for a fact, if he's good, he's gone in a couple of years. It's unfortunate. Hopefully that changes, but that's how they roll. But for me, man, anytime it comes to jerseys, if I'm looking at like my first NBA jersey, I got a Team USA basketball jersey. 55 Moats on the back. The baseball jersey, 55 Moats on the back. Like, unless I'm just like a diehard fan, like a LeBron or something like that, or the Sid the Kid. Like, if it's not somebody like that, I'm going with my name, my number. Like, period. That's how I feel about it, bro.
No, I feel it. Would you got any projections for the Steelers? Or not the Steelers,
for the Pirates?
Yeah.
No, not really, bro.
60 games, like I was saying, dude. I mean, there's going to be definitely reason to watch pretty much every game.
No, it's going to be fun to watch. But I'm just saying, like, you talking about predictions, like, oh, man, they're going to win 40 games.
I have no clue. I mean, they've had good runs in the past with some of these recent teams, but ever since the McCutcheon run, we haven't been up to par. It's been looking like we could be in a 20-year point of despair here, like we were in the past.
I will say this, man. They are making it where every both the NL and the AL have to use DHs now. So I was like, Yasiel Puig is out there. That would be a cool little addition, man. It would definitely be exciting to watch. And he could bring a little flair, man. He get hot at the right time, man. We might be all right.
Yeah, this is coming soon, right?
Yeah. They'll be starting up. They said this was to start July 30th, I want to say. Yeah, because they're reporting to training camp. This was the report to training camps next week. And then from there, their season starts, like I said, that last week of July is when it's supposed to happen. Yeah, so I was like, it's gonna be cool, man. And then when you look, like they were showing the list of what's supposed to be starting. Like I said, everything is tentatively scheduled because the Hall of Fame game was scheduled, and then that was recently canceled. I think this morning, actually. Yeah. So it not only the game, but the ceremony itself was canceled as well. So when you're talking about these things, everything is tentatively scheduled, but it's literally baseball supposed to be starting, and then right before when baseball season starts, NBA supposed to be reporting into training camps. NHL was reporting to training camps, and then like 2 weeks after that, the WNBA is supposed to be reporting to go ahead and start. So everything is supposed to be staggered, starting within like the next month. But like I said, we'll see, because anybody that's watching from a national standpoint with the COVID situation, now we're hearing about the new rises and spikes, and there could potentially be facing another quarantine coming up. So that's not going to be fun if that does happen. Hopefully it doesn't. But that's that whole situation right there, man. So it's a little unique.
Yeah, and like I said last podcast, baseball feels a little bit safer than the other sports, just based on the nature of the sport. So, hopefully we need something, dude. I mean, there's talk about NBA players getting it now. There's been a decent amount, like 6 or 7 that have gotten it recently.
Jokic. He got it. Yeah. Then I think Brogdon's, they said he got it as well. I know for tennis, what's the guy's name? My goodness.
I have no clue.
Oh my goodness. Nikovac. No. Djokovic. Yeah, I always mix him up with Jokic from the NBA. But yeah. So he has it. They said he had it while in a tournament. Yeah, they said that's when he had it. So that's crazy as well, man.
I guess with the NBA, it seems like these positive tests are by design right now, so they could be good, because they're doing a lot of testing, right? From what I was hearing, so they could be cleared when the NBA all gets together. Correct. So we'll have to see what happens there. It's just it's disheartening a little bit.
Well, the thing that I still have my uncertainties about is because even though they're testing these guys now, there is nothing out there that says they can't get it again. And that's like the big issue. It's like, okay, you might be clear now, and then in 2 weeks, what have you done during that time frame? You might catch it again later on, and that's would be an issue. So, I mean, it's going to be, hopefully MLB can get started, because then that can kind of give every other sport league a model on how to go about it. I think NFL is in the best seat just because they have the most time right now. But even with that situation, it's still so fluid, man, because the clock is ticking and there still hasn't been any major advances from a medical standpoint or information standpoint that will make people feel safe or have a peace of mind.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully it all works out. Do we want to we have some Steelers talk here, right?
Yeah, well, we got some more. Yeah, we got Steelers talk. We got some more NFL news though as well. So not only did they cancel the Pro Football Hall of Fame game and the induction ceremony, they said that the following year they're going to do this year's class and next year's Hall of Fame class. Wow. But they're going to have multiple days for the ceremony, though, because remember, this is the Centennial class this year, so it was a very large class. And then obviously next year is the Peyton Manning class. So they said they're going to have multiple days, but the game itself, Steelers-Cowboys, is still supposed to be the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
Two of the greatest brands in NFL history. And that's going to be a huge just Hall of Fame event, weekend, week, whatever they decide to do with it. So, I think that's a good idea to at least have the two teams be playing again next year. It getting canceled, I guess you could see it coming, right?
Yeah.
Just because it pushes things up a little bit, because we would have had to report to training camp a week or so early because of the game. And now they're already talking about shortening preseason anyway. Right. So adding that fifth game for the Steelers and Cowboys just doesn't kind of make sense with how everything else seem to be getting pushed. Yeah. So makes sense. Is what it is, man. You know, it's just the scenario we're in. That's all.
And then let's see. Also, the NFL said that they're gonna. The plan is to allow fans into stadiums, but based on your city's capacity rules. So obviously in Pittsburgh, we've had very low cases. So they were saying like, hey, the Steelers could have 30,000, 40,000 people in the stands. Whereas like if you go play the Jets or the Giants, where they were pretty much front lines, where it could be a lot smaller crowds and things like that. So people obviously were asking, man, from a competitive standpoint, is that going to be a competitive advantage versus other teams that, you know, have to have smaller crowds and stuff like that? Me personally, I don't view it as a competitive advantage. I think for the guys that are going to be out there playing, man, what they've already had to endure this offseason, between the no OTAs, between a condensed training camp, more than likely between no mini camps and things like that, and the virtual off seasons, I think it's just another thing that they're just like, man, we've already seen so much, it really isn't going to affect them in that regard. I think from a play standpoint, if you're waiting on the crowd to motivate you to play for the whole game, that's an issue anyways, man, because we all know how crowds get. I mean, you play in some arenas where, man, they're like we said in Cleveland, where they would stand up the whole time. We got Hines where we go crazy at times. Then you have some places where it's just kind of blah. Like you might even, you know, have a lot of missing seats in there as well, man. So if you allow the fans or the atmosphere to dictate your performance, I think you're already behind the eight ball in that regard. So for me, I didn't view it as a big deal, but I will say this, man. If the different cities are going to be allowing, hey, man, we got low cases, you can have more fans in the stands, makes me wonder, Deke, is still an issue going to be mad with you?
What?
I'm just
mad
saying.
With me?
Yeah, because like you've been putting out this information like, bro, I ain't really feeling it, man. I don't really want to do the mask thing and all this other stuff. But that could be potentially, I mean, you never know.
What do you mean?
I mean, what if you spreading?
I'm spreading it.
I just said, what if?
What do you mean at the stadium?
I'm just saying in general. And then, you know, in Pittsburgh, the cases go up a little bit higher. And now we can't have fans come in. I'm just throwing it out there, Deke.
Dude, we're testing more now. So there's going to be positive cases. Apparently, the deadliness of it is going down, too. So, hey, you read what you want, dude. Anyone reads what they want. That's
very true.
Yeah.
I was just asking, man. That's what, you know what I'm saying? You never know. You never know.
I'm really not a mask guy, but dude, I did witness something a couple of days ago or yesterday.
Uh-oh.
That was surprising to me.
Do tell.
Just like how Tomlin wearing a mask was surprising to me. Big Ben and...
he did! Him and Vance, you are right! And we had this...
I was wrong. I said, I named a few people in like my sports life. I said... I said Tomlin, I said Belichick, I said Big Ben, and I said Favre.
Yeah. You said they definitely would have wear a mask.
But
Sure
Tomlin
enough.
proved me wrong. Big Ben proved me wrong.
He had like a legit mask too. It looked good.
So it's on Favre and Belichick right now. I haven't seen them wear it. I haven't seen Jordan wear it. We were talking about this. He was doing the whole marlin fishing thing. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't wearing a mask for that. And that was a whole topic of debate we were having amongst my friends. And I put Jordan in that class too. So I could look to Jordan for some support
I'm
there.
just saying, but you love Ben more than you love Jordan. So if Ben wears the mask, shouldn't you wear the mask? Ben wore the mask. We know how you feel about Ben.
I know, but
Ben wore it. Ben's like God to you. I mean, it's God, then it's Ben. Or is it Ben, then it's God? I don't even know which one you want to go with.
The football season probably Ben over God. But
I love it. Let's
go. Maybe, are we saying my stance on it's going to ease up a little bit here?
I'm just saying.
Was that the trigger I needed?
Yeah, Ben wearing it. Obviously, that was a big time symbol. And if more people wear masks, then maybe that keeps the numbers down. We can get more fans in the Heinz Field. That's all I'm saying, man. Just throwing it out there.
I'm good with where I'm at though with it right now. I'm holding strong to my stance, but it was a shock. I will say that. I couldn't believe it.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
So yeah, I guess that's it with the Hall of Fame stuff and the Corona stuff with the NFL.
So if you need a mask, I'll get you a mask. All right,
I'm good for now.
I'm just throwing it out there, bro.
I'm good for now.
I get you one. You want a custom one? You want like just the basic white one? I got both.
I'm good for now, man.
Right, just check.
I'm good. I'm still holding on.
Okay, fair enough. Now, what we really did come to talk about today.
Yeah.
On ESPN, man, they did a roster ranking for all 32 teams for the 2020 season, man, ranking the guys, just like I said, based off of your team's roster. Mm-hmm. Like I said, 1 to 32. Obviously, well, not even obviously, but they have the number 1 ranked team as the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, New Orleans Saints. Number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. At number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shout out to your boy Brady.
Yeah.
At number 6, they had the Dallas Cowboys. All right. Number 7, your Buffalo Bills. Okay. Then at number 8, your Tennessee Titans. Then at number 9, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then at number 10, our Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, from the divisional standpoint, at number 11, they had the Cleveland Browns. And then, let me go find the Cincinnati Bengals up here. Whew, scrolling away. Scrolling. Oh, here we go. Cincinnati Bengals are number 26. All right, bringing up the rear. I like it. So, with that being said, man, Steelers coming in at the 10th best roster in the NFL behind the Eagles, your Tennessee Titans, your Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys, the Bucks, Chiefs, Niners, Saints, and the Ravens. How you feel about that, man?
Steelers are a little low. I mean,
here we go. Let's go, Deke. Let's go.
If you're talking projections, I mean, I'm obviously going to have them high, but I'm not going to argue the whole Ravens, 49ers, like all those teams.
Wait a minute. Who you going to argue there? Because, hey.
You know what? I'll put them and the Cowboys right there at 6. It's kind of because Cowboys have a really good roster.
Okay.
They have a really nice roster on paper, but that is on paper. I would project us beating them out in the actual season.
But when you're talking about projecting, we're projecting on paper too, correct?
Well, yeah, then I'd have us.
I was just saying,
I'd have us high up, but I mean, I get why people would have the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Niners, the Ravens, and the Saints all in that top 5. So I'm just not going to do that right now because I think projecting. Yeah, you could project them to have a good season. And they also have had some players last year, especially just their team overall was great. So I'm not going to – and ours was subpar, I think, a lot due to our quarterback play, but then also our receivers and just offense in general was down. So I'm not here to argue about that just because we know what happened last year.
But I'm noticing 2 teams that you are willing to argue about that because that's what I'm getting from you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe they got the Bills and the Titans.
Let's go. Let's talk about it then, man.
The 2 teams that I just don't really...
From a roster standpoint, though.
Yeah, I think on offense, we beat the Bills for sure. And then defense, you want to say it's a wash? I'll give us the nod on defense against the Bills. And then Titans, I just don't even want to hear it. They have Tannehill, and they just had a lucky run last year.
Wow, Derrick Henry, no. AJ Brown, no.
Yeah, but we have Ben. I'm big on my quarterbacks, man. Like, you got to have a quarterback that you have faith in, and I have no faith in Tannehill right now.
Okay.
And, with the Bills, same thing with Josh Allen. And Devin Singletary versus James Conner, I'll give that to James Conner. And like I said, with the defense, I don't want to run through the whole defense like that, but it's close enough right there. I'll give us the nod, though, in terms of Bills defense. I'm giving us the offense, though. We've talked about this before, especially if we want
the quarterback play, sure.
If we want to add projections, I'll give us the nod as well.
Wow.
I will, yeah. Offensive lines, I think
let's go receivers. Let's go receivers.
We got the tight end.
No. I said receivers. I said wide receivers. Let's talk about receivers.
Receivers, the only thing you could give them the nod for.
Okay.
On offense. That's probably about it. And, and I still think the Steelers receivers will have a better year than their receivers.
Obviously, we're projecting that.
Yeah. So, if you wanted to say right now, I'd give them the receivers. But overall, every other position, and then I'd give our defense the nod. So
every other position.
Yeah, on
offensive line as well.
We've talked about this before. We said wash. Right?
Yeah, we can say it's a wash. Okay.
So I'll give us the nod there. We have more Pro Bowls. We have more talent, just in general, and I think they're gonna bounce back because of Ben. That's all. Okay.
So if the Steelers are gonna bounce back, we can't assume that the Bills are gonna continue to keep going forward.
You can assume that, yeah.
Because you look at what they've been doing the past 3.
I'm even talking about right now, though. I'd still give us the nod for everything right now. That's the thing I can't really say against those top 5 teams.
Okay, and
just
why not?
Just based off last year. That's all. Wow. And right now, I could say all those positions, all those factors we have over the Bills.
And now, why you say you give the Steelers defense? Obviously, I'm a Steelers guy, so I'm a roll with Steelers, but why are you giving the Steelers the nod over the Bills defense?
Well, we've talked before. The Steelers defense is really good. I'm actually looking at this chart right here. And I would even say these ESPN guys are agreeing with me based off the ratings that are being given to all these players on defense. So I'll say that. I just think we have more stars. It's simple as that. And like I was mentioning we
do have star power here. Without a doubt, we have star power.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, our oldest guys, we got Joe Hayden and Cam Hayward. They're in their prime, and they're awesome. And then we have all these young dudes ascending that are still young, but they're just hitting their prime.
Yes,
and they're stars already. TJ Watt was borderline defensive player of the year last year. At least he was in the conversation. And you got Devin Bush, first-round pick, rookie last year. The Bills have some players, but I just think overall we got the star power.
See, this is, I think, why we differ. I think we do have the star power overall, but I do think they are more complete right now. I think they have less question marks. When we talk about our offense, we know for a fact we're going to have a new left guard with Matt Fowler being there. We're going to have a new right tackle with either Chooks or Bannon. We talked about that last episode as well. So we know that's a little bit of uncertainty on the front, along with them coming off of a down year this past season. So that is some question marks right there. Whereas I don't see those same type of question marks when I'm looking at the Bills offensive line, where they're returning pretty much everybody from that line from last year. Now, when we're talking about the star power, we know with Juju, wild card. We know with James Conner, wild cards. When they have been on, they have been some of the best in the league. Right now, we don't, outside of Stefon Diggs, they don't have anyone who's proven to just be crazy star talent, right?
Yeah.
But they have been more consistent when you're talking about a John Brown and a Cole Beasley. In terms of, they probably have a lower floor, but not the same type of ceiling of a Deontay Johnson, of a James Washington, of a Chase Claypool. Those guys have a potential to just go and do something crazy this upcoming season. Now, when we're talking about the backfield, Devin Singletary has been consistent, but he hasn't had a year like a James Conner has had just yet. And obviously, he was a rookie last year, so I think that's going to be interesting. And obviously, they had Zach Moss, young cat. People were really high on. I think you mentioned him doing the. I felt like you did mention him.
He might have been he was in the top 6 or 7 running backs that they had. I didn't watch him last year, but that's what was reported in some of these draft websites. Yeah. So I think I might have thrown him in there.
Yeah. Okay, just throwing it out there. You did.
But is he in the best system for running backs now? I don't know. Is he going to flourish like he would at other places? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
You are funny, man.
But Yeah, whatever. Good pick for them.
But now when we talk about our defense, and obviously the Bills and Steelers defense last year were two of the top units in the league, man. We talked about how it's splitting hairs when it comes to them at all the levels, man. I think, like you said, though, the star power we definitely have. When you talk about a TJ, when you talk about a Bud, when you talk about a Tuitt and a Cam, like without a doubt, those are star guys. But I think from a consistency standpoint, we do have the concerns with Bud. Was that a 1-year thing, or is he going to be able to continue? I think he will continue, but that's still a concern that people have when it comes to Tuitt. We talk about how when Tuitt's healthy, when Tuitt is on fire, Tuitt is like best in the league type.
Yeah.
But then he has had games where he's disappeared and he's missed some time due to injury as well. So those are concerns with him. Whereas in Buffalo, they have Ed Oliver, a top 10 pick, who's been very consistent with, like I said, last year his play show, and then star Loda Lili, make sure I say that name right. Let's say he's another guy. Doesn't have the same star power of it to it, but just a consistent player. Think more of like a Tyson Alualu. He's not going to wow you, but he's going to be very consistent, have a good pedigree type of guy. Talk about the edge guys. Jerry Hughes has had more success than a Bud Dupree career-wise, but he's not on the same level of a TJ Watt. Mario Addison, you could say the same thing in terms of how many of his best sack seasons compared to Bud. He's had more success, more consistent in that regard as well. But like I said, with Bud does have more of the star power. If Bud plays like Bud can play, Bud can be up there with the best of them. We know that with him. But that's still what we're projecting, what we're hoping for. But it hasn't been proven just yet. Whereas when you talk about a Jerry Hughes, you talk about a Mario Addison, it's proven. We've seen that consistently what they can do. Now at the inside linebacker spot, this is where it's different. This is where it gets you a little unique. I would say Tremaine Edmonds and Devin Bush, I put them as a wash. I view them both as two young studs who are going to be dominating the linebacker spot for years. Like I view them in the exact same frame. Now, Matt Milano, I talked about how he's not really known nationally, but anybody that watches him, his tape is on fire. In fact, he had a big forced fumble when they played us. Granted, that was the one where I think James Washington ends up recovering it, but he always makes plays for them. Now, AJ Klein, think more of a Vince Williams type. Has had success in this league, but he's not going to wow. You don't want him playing 60 snaps in today's NFL with how they're spreading guys out and making them playing coverage and things like that. But what Vince does have over him is how he can rush the passer.
Yeah, and this ESPN rating, too, that they're giving these players. 76 to that dude, what do you have, 46 or something like that.
And they said, man, we can go off the ESPN ratings if we want to. We know you're going to agree with ESPN, except, let's see, where they have a certain... Ben, 78.2.
There's some asterisks.
Oh, okay. Just throwing it out there. I figure you would have something else to say about
There's
that.
an asterisk there. I don't know what that really means.
Yeah.
So.
They're saying that's if he's healthy?
I have no clue. I don't know what the asterisk means, but they have 10 out of 90 something. So
yeah.
Maybe they got their defensive ratings a little better than the offense.
Like I said, man, you can go off the ESPN numbers you want to, man. Now with the cornerback slot, man, we talked about Tre'Davious White last year. Obviously, he was in that same conversation, Defense Player of the Year type dude. But Steven Nelson, his tape was hot the whole time as well. We have Joe Hayden, who's been consistently balling out, Pro Bowler. They have Josh Norman, who's more of a name right now. Obviously, when he was in Carolina, he was on fire. Went to Washington, took a step back. We don't know if it's scheme or not, but we do know Josh is getting back with the guy who helped him be successful in Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing. That's a little caveat right there. We can take it how we want to take it. Now, when we talk about the safeties, obviously we have Minka. Minka is the trump card. I mean, crazy talented, star power, mega star power. And then we have Terrell Edmonds, who some people believe he's a bust. Some people think that he's still coming into his own. Some people think he's still just a good player right now, but still young. Whereas with them, they have two guys who are very proven in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. So when we talk about our roster versus their roster, I feel I feel like the Bills are more complete. I just think, like you said, we have a ton more star power, but we do have a lot of question marks at certain positions right now, bro. So that's why for me, I don't necessarily have the issue. Now, I can make the issue with the Titans. We can go that route or the Eagles as well.
I mean, that's no question. Dude, actually, I was looking at I'd put us over the Eagles, but the Eagles have a pretty nice roster. Deshaun Jackson was hurt all last year.
No, I got
Jeffrey.
that.
Yeah.
For me, it's their secondary.
Yeah, I mean, they brought over Darius Slay, though, and Nickel Roby-Coleman. Are you talking about the safeties then? Is that what it is?
Definitely talking to safeties.
Okay.
But then also, like I said, man, with with Roby. I told you, what is he? He's interior corner, slot corner.
You're worried about Maddox?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
No,
right.
no offense, hell to Pitt, but
I was gonna say
yeah,
my man came out of Pitt.
I'm a little concerned about him. That's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, that's all. I would take us over them. I actually kind of like their roster though. I mean, I'd probably put them over the Titans for sure. Titans should be a few spots down.
You just don't like the Titans because when you look at the Titans, man, they got one of the best tackles in the game in Terry Lewan. We know that.
A little too much hype, maybe.
Stop it.
Nah, he's good.
AJ Brown, like I said, I'm high on him.
Their defense just had a nice run last year.
But they couldn't even rush the passer last year.
Huh?
They couldn't rush the passer last year. But obviously, Jeffrey Simmons is going to be back healthy for a full year. That's a big, big upgrade for him. They bring in Vic Beasley, who, I mean, didn't at one time he had 14 sacks? I think he had one 14-sack season. And he's kind of fallen off since then. But either way, he's been successful, went on. Adoree Jackson, I think, is a beast.
Listen, dude, I'm looking at how ESPN
Kevin
has this.
Byard, yeah.
I'm looking at how ESPN has this thing structured. They have blue highlighted for the players that are like studs that have high ratings, right?
Tannehill's a stud.
No, well,
Tannehill's a stud. He's a stud. Let's go.
Well, they're just wrong with that.
He's the same color as TJ Watt and Cam Hayward.
No, they're just wrong with that. But the Tennessee, they only have 3 blues, and Tannehill for some reason is the only dark blue, which means like he's the highest ranking.
Yeah.
And those 3 are only on offense, like you said, Taylor Lewan, AJ Brown, and Tannehill.
Even though it's crazy to me that Derrick Henry isn't rated in a blue.
I don't know. I don't know how that is.
That's what
I mean, I would take AJ Brown did good though last year.
You're
maybe
not gonna tell me Derrick Henry's not their best offensive player though, bro.
Yeah, he should be blue. But outside of that, you look at their defense, it's all white and gray. It's all white and only 3 gray. And you look at the Steelers defense, we're loaded with blue here. We got 4 blue, we got some dark grays here. So and I think they're just off on the Big Ben ranking there and some of our linemen.
I mean, they got Anthony McFarland as a 70. James Conner's a 73. Anthony McFarland hasn't taken a snap yet.
I just think they're off on some of our offense ones.
They got Juju at 63. Deontay at 67. Jeez.
Yeah. I just don't see it with the Titans, especially their defense.
They have Devin Bush at 62. So you really want to go off these ratings? They got Vince at a 76, dude, I mean, Devin Bush at a 62.
You've talked to me before how Devin was a little limited last year. He did have splashes.
Vince Williams at 76, Devin Bush at 62. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Bush next year, but I mean, is that rating based off last
year?
I'd take Bush too, but in the situations Vince was in, he was in there a little bit.
Yeah, he excels in his role, but it was very limited last year. We talked about how last year that was the least amount of snaps he's taken for the past 2-3 seasons.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I just think they're off with. I mean, Titans just shouldn't be that high. I don't think they're that good. Their defense, like I was saying, is limited. I think they had a good run last year. And Mahomes exposed them in the playoffs, and I don't think their offense is going to be that good.
Mahomes exposed a lot of people all season long. That's not a bad thing. You can't use that as Mahomes got him. Do you know how many Mahomes did? What about the Texans? Mahomes did that too. He got a body count. He got a whole body count. Okay. He does. What are we talking? Mahomes. That's like saying, they lost to Brady. Yeah, a lot of people do.
A good team's going to expose them. That's all.
Oh, okay. A Super Bowl winning team because we saw him versus a good team in terms of
Lamar Jackson said they snuck up on him.
And then what did Harbaugh say after that? Harbaugh said, no, I don't agree with what Lamar said at all.
Well, you could say both is true there. You could say both is true. I don't buy the Titans at all. I never really have, and I think Tannehill's magic's gone, and then their defense is mediocre, and not mediocre. I'll say average. And what else they got?
Whose teams are you taking? The Titans or the Eagles?
Man, dude. I mean,
because I feel like the Eagles are front 7 heavy,
right?
I think the Titans back and their defensive backfield. That's where they excel at.
Jeez, dude. I'll take the Eagles based off some of their names here. That's what I'm taking.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Titans. I see us better.
I mean, Harold Landry's gonna be nice. He's a young cat last year. He's gonna be really good.
I just see us better than the Titans and Bills.
Rashaan Evans. Oh, they got him rated low. They got him rated lower than Big Dan. They got him at 47.
Yeah, us over the Eagles. I'd put the Eagles over the Titans. I'd put. I'll give the Bills over the Eagles. So I would have 5 was Bucks. I'd put 6 Steelers, and then I'd do 7 Cowboys, 8 Bills, 9 Eagles. Man, is Titans even in the top 10? Yeah, I'll put them in the top 10. I won't knock them too far off. Honestly, I'd put the Packers over them. Put the Packers over the Titans.
Okay, what about the Browns now?
Yeah, honestly,
Browns
on paper,
are talented on paper, man.
Yeah, I'll put Browns over them too on paper. So yeah, knock the Titans out of the top 10. Put them at like 12 or 13.
I can't believe you. I cannot believe you.
I mean, honestly, on paper, even the Broncos. I mean, I'm just not that high on Drew Lock yet, though. Still, why is that?
I feel like the Colts should be so much higher than this, bro.
Dude, Seahawks are even down. I mean, I'd put Seahawks over Titans just based off Russell Wilson. I don't care about the rest of the team, to be honest with you. They do. They still have good receivers. They brought in Greg Olsen. Chris Carson's a good running back. I mean, their defense is always going to be at least top 15 just over there with Pete Carroll. So, yeah, I'd put the Seahawks over them, too.
See, I'm
Titans 15. We'll put them all the way down there.
I'm surprised with the Broncos being at 14. I thought they should be higher, man.
Higher?
I do, man.
I thought you weren't believing the hype, though.
I don't believe in Drew, but I don't think Drew's a bad quarterback.
Just the roster.
But when I look at Melvin Gordon, when I think of Philip Lindsay, those are two guys who can ball. Noah Fant, obviously, people are still super high on him. He didn't have the best year last year, but he was a rookie. But you look at Jerry Jeudy, you look at KJ Hamler. I'm excited about those two guys. Cortland Sutton obviously did his thing. Defensively, though, Von numbers were down last year because Bradley Chubb was out. Bradley Chubb tore his ACL, I think it was like the 3rd game of the season, and missed everything else. So that put a lot of pressure on Von, a lot more attention on Von, and ultimately staggered his numbers, man. But with Bradley Chubb coming back, you put him back out there with Von Miller. They got Jarrell Casey. Jarrell Casey was a nightmare when he was playing with the Titans, man. Like that's
they got
different.
A good defense. They got a good defense for sure.
They got AJ Bouye out there. That was a big pickup. Obviously, they lost Chris Harris, so that hurts. But I think the AJ pickup is going to be big. You have to assume he's going to be so much more inspired now that he's out of that situation in Jacksonville.
Yeah, they got a good roster too. Sure, I'll put them over the Titans as well if we want to do that. Yeah, you convinced me. It didn't take much to convince me.
You are funny, man.
They're not good, dude. I'm just telling you right now.
They went to the AFC Championship game last year, and they're not good.
Yep. There can be flukes. The Jaguars went through that too with Bortles. I mean,
but they've had more consistent success than the Jags had.
Consistent.
I already talked about it. How many times they've been in the playoffs over the past couple of years?
Awful division, dude. Just an awful division.
Oh my gosh! Come on.
Awful division.
Come on, man.
They're skating by.
Come on, man.
That's just what it is, dude. They're not going to be good this year. I actually think probably more people.
Do they make the playoffs? Yes or no?
What?
The Titans, they make the playoffs?
No, not this year. No.
Wow.
No. That's unfortunately why I had said the Jaguars might be one of the top 3 teams most likely to win their division going from worst to first. It's just based off how bad that division is. And Titans are part of that division. So, yeah. Do they make the playoffs? I just don't. But I'm just really sticking home to that.
This is crazy. I don't understand where all this ill will towards the Titans comes from, man. What did they do to you?
I don't know. I think it was just building from last year, and I'm just going to keep it going. That's all. Because people keep ranking them like this high and stuff.
Because, on paper, they got a lot coming back from a team that went to the AFC Championship game last year. They got a great brand of football in terms of being able to run the ball. They got a guy who can actually throw the ball now and actually can be successful at quarterback.
I don't buy that. I mean,
why not, though?
What was it? 80 yards in back-to-back games in the playoffs?
Come on, man. You going to hold that against... If that's the case, you might as well hold that against Garoppolo, too. Well,
sure,
Garoppolo had a 7 completion game in the playoffs and won by 20.
Sure, he didn't step up like he should have. Sure.
You are funny, bro.
Sure, dude. He missed that throw.
But you don't have a problem with the Niners being ranked, what are they, 3rd on the list? Yeah, being 3rd?
I don't. They have a good roster. They do have a really good roster. And like I was telling you, dude, I'm not gonna argue with that top 5. It's more based off last year and just with what the Steelers had to do that are dealing with based off of last year. I don't think I could put them up there right now. I'm projecting it. I'm hoping for it, but hell, I'm not gonna sit here and make that argument.
Rated at 79.
That's probably based off last year, and for whatever reason, the metrics weren't the biggest fan of Brady last year.
Coming off of a year off at a 75, jeez.
75? You think that's good or bad?
I'm just saying, he's at a 75, took a whole year off. O.J. Howard, who we say is a good guy, is ranked at 54.
Well, we said Gronk, if he's healthy, he's a top 3 tight end.
Without a doubt, I agree with that 100%.
So, yeah, 75 might be low. Maybe that's based off his last year in New England, though. He was banged up and like in and out and everything. Yeah. I'm not sure. They do have those asterisks there. I think that asterisk.
You can't trust these rankings, bro. Your rankings are janky.
So what do you got then? What's your final rankings here?
Let's see, man. For me, I'm cool with the top 7. I think I would move the Steelers. I probably have them ahead of the Titans, but barely. Titans still top 10, and I probably would switch out the Eagles and put in. Do I want to make the Broncos in there? Oh no, that's a stretch. I like the Broncos roster, man. It's just the Drew Luck thing. I'm not 1,000% sold on it personally, but I still think they're a top 10 roster though. So I'll probably go there.
Okay, yeah. I'll keep.
What's yours?
Honestly, I would have. We want to go top 10 here. Or you go with these. All right. They got Ravens at 1. Jeez, oh man, dude. I'll put the man. Their defense is good. I'll just leave Ravens and Saints top 2. Mm-hmm. I'll bump the 49ers down underneath the Chiefs. So yeah, Chiefs 3, 49ers 4, Bucks at 5, Steelers 6, and what was the rest? I had 7 at Cowboys. Yeah. 8 Bills, 9
the Titans
Eagles.
All the way down to 15 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Titans, they're just not doing it this year.
Disrespectful, man.
It's not, dude. It's just telling it how it is. Honestly, yeah, I'll put Browns at 10. I'll put Seahawks at 10, and then Browns, we'll keep them at 11.
Oh, you know what? Actually, no. Take the Broncos out. Put Browns at 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm tripping.
All right, man. We got.
That was clean.
We got all that then.
I like that. I'm with it.
All right, it's just so we got it all covered for the pod. Did we have any other news or anything that we want to talk about?
Nah, not off the top of my head. Do you?
Nah, I'm good.
I think we're good. Yeah, man. So that being said, man,
we got a dope interview coming up.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, excited. I'm definitely excited for that. So hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time.
Oh.
What?
And thanks for everybody for tuning in and all the subscribers and all the listeners.
My bad.
How you going? We gonna come at this? We gonna come at them and then not thank them as well? So we appreciate y'all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, always.
And until next time.
Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are very excited about this next guest here. Now, this guy initially was a basketball marketing rep for Nike, where he helped administrate and operate some of the most highly acclaimed basketball camps, the Nike All-American camps, skills camps hosted by Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Vince Carter, just to name a few. He is in the JMU Sports Hall of Fame. You know, my alumni, so I feel some type of way about this guy right here. And he's currently the Iowa Hawkeyes men's basketball assistant coach. So without further ado, Mr. Sherman, the Bowtie Man, Dillard.
I need to hire you as my public relations guy. Just for you.
Hey, man, listen.
That was
when I looked at your track record, I said, well, look. First off, he's in the JMU Sports Hall of Fame. I'm a JMU alum as well, man. So, yeah, I said that touches my heart. But then when I saw how you dress, I said, ooh, oh, yeah, I'm excited about this guy here.
Oh, man, JMU. So what year did you graduate from JMU?
Man, so my last year playing there would have been 09 going into that 10 season, but I officially graduated in 12.
Okay.
Yes,
good.
Indeed, man. But hopping into this interview, man, so just talk about, man, when did you realize you had a passion for coaching?
You know, it's funny. Obviously, I played high school basketball and ended up winning a scholarship to James Madison University. Mike Patella recruited me. I wasn't heavily recruited, but I had a high school coach in Bassett, Virginia, right on the borderline between Virginia and Carolina there. And I thought the world of him. His name was Ernie Nestor. Mm-hmm. And he taught me how to play the game of basketball, and he worked with me every day after practice. He took me to certain camps during the summer months, and basically he was responsible for me earning a scholarship to James Madison University, gave me the exposure I needed. But once I started playing college basketball, I began to reflect, and I got, you grow a little bit, you have some maturity, and I recall thinking what a major impact this guy, Ernie Nestor, had on my life. And so midway through my experience at James Madison, I decided I wanted to be a college basketball coach, and all because of my high school coach, the way he treated me and how he turned my life around. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do that when I grow up. And and graduate from college and have an opportunity to give back to some kids. And that's when I began to think about being a college basketball coach. It all worked out. So I've been doing that for 35 years with that 5-year stint with Nike. And that was still, you're working with kids and you're helping them develop and become better, not only better players, but better people.
I like that. Now, being that you're a guy that had so much success playing at the collegiate level, and then you obviously were drafted by the Pacers, how has that helped you as a coach?
A lot of times, you can become a good collegiate basketball coach or a good coach without playing the game. I think it helped that I had a good high school coach that taught me the basics and fundamentals. And in high school, as I said, and then when I got to college, I'm working with Mike Patello, who went on to become an NBA coach. I'm sure you know Mike Patello, the art and illustrator. Lou Campanelli was a great coach at James Madison, took them to 4 NCAA tournament appearances. So I had the foundation. I was taught well. And basically, upon graduating from James Madison, I was drafted, as you said, by the Indiana Pacers and tried out with the Kansas City Kings. Just never made it, but I always had a desire to coach. And my first coaching job, get this, was I ended up going back home to my hometown in Martinsville, Virginia. And my first coaching opportunity was I coached 9th grade basketball. And also during the spring months, I coached girls track or women's track. That was something else. That's for another day to talk about that experience. But at any rate, but I got lucky. I think it was the spring of my first year coaching at Laurel Park High School in Martinsville, Virginia. I received a phone call from Lefty Drizel, the head coach at the University of Maryland. And prior to that, every summer when I was at James Madison as a player, one of the benefits and one of the things I decided to do was I wanted to work summer basketball camps. And the camp I worked mostly was Lefty Drizel's basketball camp at the University of Maryland. And so every summer I would work that camp. And the benefit of working that camp was, Lefty would have some of the best college players in the country come in and serve as counselors. But the highlight of the camp was the counselor scrimmages. And twice a day we would scrimmage. So, I'm playing with Lucas, John Lucas and, Buck Williams was coming into the program at that time, Lenny Elmore, Tom McMillan, people like that. And Ralph Sampson would be a camper. I'm sure you know Ralph, he grew up in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And what I said was, Lefty had called me and said, "Sure, what are you going to do you coming back to work in camp?" And I said, "Coach, I'd love to come back and work." He says, "What are you doing now?" So I'm coaching high school basketball. I said, a 9th grade team. I said, we won a district championship. He said, "Great for you." He said, "You know what? I want to talk with you. You come work my camp. And after camp, you and I will sit down and we'll talk about an opportunity to coach at the collegiate level." And as it turned out, he offered me that job that summer. And I owe a lot to Coach for giving me that opportunity because I was, fresh out of college, relatively speaking. And it's very rare that you come from coaching 9th grade basketball to coaching at a college program and a college program with the namesake of University of Maryland and the ACC. So I'm grateful for Lefty for giving me that opportunity. And once I got involved with coaching, I just thought it was great in terms of the level I was at, the exposure we got, and working with some of the great players like Len Bias, Albert King, Buck Williams. And, I had 6 years there at Maryland, and I just I fell in love with the game. I fell in love with the craft, and I continued to work on my craft. And here I am now, like I said, 35 years later, coaching collegiate basketball, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I really wouldn't.
I like that.
Now, obviously, you had one of the best college basketball players on your roster this year with Iowa, actually the past 3 years, in Luka Garza. Now, he has a decision coming up whether to stay in the NBA draft or to come back to school. Have you had any conversations with him, or just what advice in general do you have for him?
Yeah, coincidentally, we just spoke today about his situation.
Oh, wow.
Our guys came back on campus last Monday, and so they are involved with voluntary training, strength and conditioning, and they do have open gym where they get in and play some pickup games. But, what Luka, first and foremost, is a terrific human being, and he's an outstanding basketball player, as you very well know. I think he won like 5 or 6 Player of the Year awards this past season. and he has a chance to come back for his senior year. A team that I think we've been picked to finish top 5 in the country, preseason top 5. So he's got some decisions to make. He is in the process of talking with a few NBA teams. I think this virus and has put a kind of a damper on all of that. He has not had an opportunity to go and to any workouts, if you will. So everything he's been doing with some NBA teams, I would think it'd be about a half a dozen or maybe even more. He's been doing the Zoom calls, and I'm sure he's going to do well in those situations. But he has until, I want to say, sometime in August before he has to make up his mind as to whether he's going to keep his name in the NBA draft. And more power to him. The young man has done great here. We'd love to have him come back. But if he has an opportunity, first and foremost, to be able to be drafted in the first round or high, maybe second round, then I think it's hard for him to turn that down. I think what would have to happen, I think he's got to assess whether he's going to get some guaranteed money. But I still think that's way down the road with him. I'm just guessing. I'm speculating right now, knowing the young man the way I know him and knowing his father. I think he's probably leaning towards coming back to school. And that's just me with saying that. He has not indicated that to this coaching staff. And I've talked to a few NBA folks about him. And obviously, a young man that has the ability to score the way he has, he had, I think it was 25 games where he scored 20 or more points during the season. And he's doing that against Big Ten competition. And, the Big Ten arguably is one of the toughest conferences in America.
Absolutely.
So he has a chance. He has size. He's 6'10", has the girth. I think the thing that helps him out and what makes him an elite player is, in fact, he's so crafty. And then secondly, he has an unbelievable work ethic. I've never coached a young man. Maybe Buck Williams comes close at the University of Maryland. But this young man, Luka Garza, is just, he's a machine in the weight room and all-season workouts, conditioning, and that's paid big dividends for him. And it came out this year and had a phenomenal year for us. And if he comes back, he could probably be Player of the Year on a national level.
I like it.
Yeah, for sure. How do you think, you obviously mentioned some stuff there, how do you think just overall his game would translate to the NBA? Like if he does come back, is there anything you think he could work on, or just what do you think he does right now that would translate really well?
The number one thing is he's a 6'10", kind of stretch 5.
Yeah.
Can knock down a 3. Didn't shoot it great this year, but he will be an outstanding 3-point shooter. And his ability, as I talked about, the work ethic, how he will fight for position. And I think he's a good inside-outside player, fundamentally sound in every aspect, very efficient, knows how to use either right or left hand. Very good footwork, sort of like a Hakeem Olajuwon in that regard. Up and under moves, step through moves, counter moves. And again, I think he could score at that level. A lot depends, I've seen a lot of college players go on to the NBA, and it depends on the system that team is running, whether he could fit in. But I think there's no doubt in my mind that he's capable, skill-wise, to play at that level.
Yeah, I definitely
can he run
noticed
the floor? Yes, he could run. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I definitely noticed that with the post moves, everything you were saying. Like he's got some moves down low for sure. And then you add that add that ability to hit the 3, like you mentioned, and just continue to get better at that with where the NBA is going right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In the NBA, obviously, one big thing for bigs, so 4 and 5 minutes to be able to guard ball screen defense, and can he hedge or show flat and be able to get back to his guy when the guy rolls? He'll have to continue to work on that. He did well for us this year. We were very good defensively this year, and he was able to guard. We got away from hard hedging or heavy hedging. We just showed flat, and he was able to go 2 steps with that guard, prevent that guard from turning the corner and getting downhill, and then he was able to retreat and get back to the front of the low post on his guy, and did a very good job of that. And he's one. I tell you, another thing that helps kids make the next jump is having cerebral qualities, being able to understand the game and think the game. And he's a big student of the game. And I think that's going to bode well for him down the road.
That's awesome, man. Now, your team last year was in line to make it to the NCAA tournament for the fourth time, which over the past 6 years, which it would have been. But obviously the COVID-19 situation put a damper on that. But ultimately, man, talk about how your team handled that situation, receiving that news that the tournament was going to be canceled. And also what it's been like for you guys now that things have opened back up.
Ironically enough, when we were in Indianapolis, it was a Thursday afternoon. I was on the road the night before recruiting. And basically, I just flew in that night. And typically when the team gets in, we check into the hotel, we have a dinner, we watch film. I wasn't a part of that, but I showed up late. And everybody was just, I met them in the lobby. We were talking, getting ready for the next game, the next day. But as I was traveling, I kept checking the internet, social media, and there was a lot of talk about this virus thing and the potential of maybe shutting down some games and not playing. And I do recall when I went to bed that night, I felt like we would not play the next day. And as fate would have it, I woke up that morning and I was going early to the arena to scout the opponents playing the first game. We were going to play, I want to say it was 12 noon, maybe a little bit later. So I got to the arena early. Teams were in there warming up, and the security people would not allow us to go into the arena. Wow. And I knew something was up at that point, and they held us at bay for about 30 minutes. And then there was a moment where I saw Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, and a horde of other people, I think it's the staff, they were all walking out. And I checked my phone, and then I saw on the phone that they had canceled the tournament, that they would not be playing that day. And so, I get back to the hotel, the lobby is filled with our players. Quite frankly, some kids are crying because the seniors, they wanted that opportunity to play, and that was their last opportunity to play in the Big Ten tournament. So we huddled as a staff and huddled as a team and talked about it. And essentially, that was the last time we were together with the team. We flew back on a chartered flight, and kids had an opportunity to go home to their respective homes. And as I said, last Monday was the first time we've seen them since that period in March at the Big Ten tournament. So they came back home. So you asked me how they're dealing with it. I think it's like everybody else in the country. I think it's not the norm for us. We missed out on a lot of activity. They missed out on schooling, in-class schooling. Everything they were doing, they finished virtually or remotely from home, online courses and things of that nature. And here at the university, what we've done is we've had these pilot programs. So in essence, men's basketball, women's basketball, football, and wrestling, they brought us back on campus. Obviously, everybody had to get tested and go through the protocol. And now we're here able to get into our office for the first time in like 2 months. And the guys are able to work out with a strength and conditioning coach voluntarily with weight training, as I said earlier. And then they have an opportunity to go open gym. So it's just been really, really strange and really different than normal for us. But a lot of the players I know, and speaking with them, they prefer to be back here on campus, even though school's not open. But they all wanted to be together and get united and start to work on next season and get ready for next season. So, again, we're 2 weeks in, and everything's been going great so far. Hopefully the NCAA has passed that has opened it up that I want to say is in July 20th, we could start working with the kids and doing individual workouts with the kids.
Okay.
But before that, we haven't been able to do anything with them.
Now, you mentioned Len Bias and being at Maryland earlier. Do you have a favorite Len Bias story you like to share? Like, from everything I've heard, he was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan. Yeah. His highlights look crazy. Can you vouch for that?
Absolutely. I was on the staff when we recruited Len, and Len went to Northwestern High School, which was, maybe, I want to say 500 yards from the university. I don't think it was a no-brainer that we were going to get him, but he committed to us early, came in as a freshman. And, you watched him in high school, and you said, yeah, this young man has a chance. And then, I don't think I've ever witnessed a player's explosion so quickly. Like, he came in as a freshman, and during preseason, he was good. He was talented. Had that explosion, that jumping ability, and that really nice hierarchy jump shot. And he was such a sponge. Like, he wanted to get better. You can tell he was passionate about the game. So he was always in the gym. And as I would drive in and park right outside the Cole Fieldhouse there was a tunnel that you walked through. And almost every day I came in the morning, there would be Len Bias in there. He'd find a manager or someone to retrieve the balls for him, and he's working on his game. And he made a rapid growth, a big jump just from high school to his freshman year. And then obviously you saw the progression from freshman year to his sophomore year and then his junior year. I coached him for 3 years. I left after his junior year and went out to join my former college coach, Lou Campanelli, when he took the job at Cal Berkeley, University of California, in fact, Pac-10 and at that time. But a phenomenal young man, great young man, a terrific family. And, you know, it saddens me. Like, I got that call when he passed. I'll never forget. I was lying in bed with my wife out in California, Alameda, California, and I got an early call that morning. He passed, and a friend said, "Lenny's dead." And I said, "But what are you talking about?" And you know, obviously, I was filled with emotion. Every time I talk about him, if I see the highlights of 30 for 30 that comes on ESPN, I can't help but cry because it's such a tragedy. And I knew his mother, Lenice, and father. They were just terrific people, always at every game, coming into practices and things of that nature. But he was a joy to coach, obviously. And, you know, everybody talks about how do you coach him? What did you do to make him better? Like, a lot of it was he just had self-discipline to do what needed to be done. And he was a hardworking young man, a very coachable young man. And as I talked about Luka, like you get guys like that, they have that mindset, like a Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. You just see it in them. They're passionate about getting better. They're a sponge about everything. They listen, and that's the way Len Bias was. And you know, that was the time when I was still playing a little bit when I coached at Maryland. I thought I could still play a little bit. And I remember, you know, part of my thing, sometimes Lefty would say, "Sherman, you got to get out and play." So I would play with the guys, scrimmage with the guys some days in practice. And he was so strong and physical. Like, he could just terrorize everybody in practice. And, but just a loving kid, funny kid off the court, just unbelievably, just a great character type kid. And again, it's a sad story. And not a day goes by that I don't think about Lenny and think about the times being there with him. And, you know, I have an opportunity to see some of the former players like Tony Massenberg that played with him, or Keith Gatlin, Jeff Baxter. And obviously being in the Big Ten here at Iowa, when we travel to play Maryland, who's in the Big Ten, I see a lot of those former players that all come back at times. And, you know, in fact, Tony Massenberg wrote a book, and it's a great book. And the last game we played there this past season, he handed me the book, an autographed copy of the book that he had autographed. And I read that in like one sitting. It's a terrific book. And he said it's titled Lessons from Lenny. And it talks about how Tony Massenberg, who also became a great player in his own right, he played 15 years in the NBA, but he modeled this game and lived his life because of Len Bias. And so that's just, those guys are really well connected, really close, those Turpin guys.
Sounds like a good book.
Absolutely.
Might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Now, when we're talking about, you know, just you and staying in the coaching realm and things like that, you had a chance to coach at your alma mater, JMU, James Madison University. So just talk about what was that like after being such a successful player there?
You know, it was fun. I don't know. When I went to the University of Maryland, you know, I thought, okay, this is a great gig. I'm in ACC, I'm on national TV, ESPN, you name it. And I go to Cal and Coach Kevin Johnson out there, so we have much success there. From there, I go to Georgia Tech with Bobby Crimmins and got Kenny Anderson and James Forrest and Dennis Scott. You know, so, you know, I was dealing with a lot of great players and had success at the highest level. But every step of the way, I was always thinking about what it would be like to come back home. And I consider JMU home. I grew up about 2.5 hours south of Harrisonburg. And I always said I would hope that I would have an opportunity one day to come back home and be the head coach at James Madison University. Well, as it turns out, my first head coaching job was at Indiana State. I spent 6 years at Georgia Tech with Bobby Crimmins, and decided that I wanted to step out and become a head coach. And I accepted a head coaching job at Indiana State, in Terre Haute, Indiana, in the Missouri Valley. And I was there for 3 years. And at the end of my third year is when Lefty left JMU. And I received a call from the administration at James Madison and saying, would you be interested in coming back to James Madison? I can say this now. I didn't want to say it, and I've never said this publicly, but I was trying to get the thing going at Indiana State. I didn't want to start something and not finish it. We weren't great at Indiana State, but I saw that we could be very good. And the administration at Indiana State, they were terrific to me. They were getting ready to give me an extension, a long extension at Indiana State. But I decided to get on a plane and come check out James Madison. And I told the president, I said, I'm not going to come out for an interview. I don't need you to placate me and say, hey, listen, we want to show Sherman some love because he played here. I want it to be serious. If I'm coming out to interview, then I want to have an opportunity to be offered the job. And so I got on the flight and we accepted the job, and I was there for 7 years and got up to a pretty decent start, had success. I think after my third year was, coach of the year in the league. We won 20 games. But at that time, the Colonial, and I think it's still the same way, the Colonial League was one of those kind of like one-team NCAA tournament leagues. And so, it was hard to find a way to get a tournament. So the year we won 20 games, I still didn't get an NCAA bid. And as you very well know, in the business now, in college basketball, it's like your judge don't get into the NCAA tournament. But I enjoyed my time there. The administration was terrific with me. The fans were great. I just loved walking around that campus and remembering my days as a student athlete there. And I think the thing that helped me there, particularly early in my career at James Madison as a coach, was when I went into a home, I could speak from the heart about the opportunity at James Madison and what James Madison did for me, and about the schools, the educational system there, about the wholesomeness of that atmosphere there. And so it was an easy sell for me because I spoke from the heart, and the people there were terrific, and I still hold it true to my heart. I think I love that place. I love the area. It's a beautiful campus. They did just get a brand new arena. I wish we would have had an arena like the one that just got put up. I think it's up now.
It's nice.
But during those days, that Charlie is your uncle. Is that right? What is Charlie? Your brother-in-law?
Actually, father-in-law. Yeah, father-in-law. Yep.
Father-in-law. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me go back to the days I played at James Madison. At the time, it was Madison College. But I got to share this with you. I got to share this with you. So I grew up in Bassett, Virginia, but I watched Charlie Thomas, your father-in-law. I watched him play at Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. Before that, he went at Ferrum Junior College. And Ferrum Junior College was only about maybe 40 minutes from my home. And I remember going to watch him play, and then he went to Virginia Tech. And Charlie Thomas was the greatest player I'd ever seen play live until I saw an ABA game in Roanoke Civic Center. And I tell Charlie this all the time, and he thinks I'm BSing him, but I just love this game. And I kind of modeled my game after him. And then when I got to Harrisonburg and playing at James Madison, we used to have these unbelievable pickup games up in Sims Rec Center.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Harrisonburg with B.J. Thomas and Charlie Thomas, and we used to have some great games. And those two guys made me the player I am today, because every summer I would go and be challenged by those guys. And then also Ralph Sampson at the time was only 13, 14 years old, but he was almost 6'9" at the time. And he was a good player in his own right. So some of the best games I had during my collegiate career were those games I played on the hill there at Sims, at Harrisonburg High School with Charlie Thomas, DJ, Ralph Sampson, and those guys.
Hey, that's some history right there, man. And Sims is actually still up over there too, man. I like that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I've been truly blessed. You asked me earlier, did I want to get into coaching? Yes. And then once I got into it, I just never wanted to leave. And, I spent the 5 years with Nike, but that was just like coaching. I was always in the gym and dealing with players and dealing with elite players, like Derrick Rose and Kevin Durant, people like that. And and just always been in the gym and running those camps, the Kobe Bryant camp, the Vince Carter camp, LeBron James Skills Academy. But I still had an itch to get back into college coaching. So I was very fortunate that when Fran McCaffrey was named head coach here in Iowa, I really was excited about that. I'd known Fran, again, ironically enough, because he used to work at the University of Maryland's basketball camp as well.
Man, everybody was working that camp.
That camp was terrific. And so we go way back, and Fran, we had mutual respect for each other's game. And when I saw him at the Final Four the year that he got the job in Iowa, I asked him about an opportunity, and he said, "Sure, call me on Sunday, and you and I can talk, and I'll bring you in." And the rest is history. So I've been here now with him for 10 years, starting my 11th season here at Iowa. As always, people say it's not who you know sometimes, it's who knows you. But it worked both ways with me and Coach McCaffrey. So it's been a wonderful ride here. It's great to work in a program where, you have fan support. You got the TV exposure. You're working with a guy that has utmost respect for you. So he gives me latitude to do what I need to do and knowing that I can get it done. And so I've been more than pleased being here. And I'm at the age now, am I looking for another college head coaching job? I would always be open to take another one. But Mike Fratello told me once, I was asking his advice on a certain situation, and he used this phrase. He says, "Well, sure, Mom, are you happy?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm happy." He says, "Well, don't mess with happy." And that always resonated with me. And so I don't want to say I've gotten comfortable, but I've just enjoyed this experience, and we've had success. I love the players that we have in the program. And to your point, we have a good team coming back next season. So I've been wise enough to stay where I am and make this work. But if another opportunity comes up, I'm not going to say I'm not going to jump at it, particularly if it's a head coaching opportunity for me.
Hey, like I said, that's very understandable. Now, going back to your time at Nike, what was that like for you, man, in terms of organizing some of those high-profile camps? You named some of the people you worked with there and hosted camps for, in terms of Kevin Durant, Derrick Rose, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, just to name a few. Was there ever a player that stood out to you back then from your interactions, or that you saw participating at the camp, and that person just stuck with you?
I got two different extremes. Klay Thompson, how great Klay Thompson is a player right now?
Yeah.
Everybody knows. Hey, it's terrific, right?
Absolutely. One of the best in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, one of the camps I was running, it was my job to identify the top players, to come up with a list, to basically invite the players and decide who's going to be invited to those camps. And so we had these skills academies, and, we only were going to invite 20 to 25 players at those camps. So we would invite 20 of the top point guards in the country. Then it would be 20 of the top wings in the country. There'd be 20 of the top forwards in the country. Klay Thompson was one of those guys that I got a call from my boss at the time, George Raveling, and said, "Sherman, we need to invite Klay Thompson." And I said, "Well, Klay's not on my list, friend, as a guy. He's not on our radar, and I got a list here of about 60 kids, and he's nowhere near the top." And George says, "Well, Sherman, we got to invite him." I says, "Well, okay." And I forgot, I didn't even realize it was Michael Thompson's son, right? And so I go, "Okay, George, if you say so, let's do that." So I invite him, and, he had a decent camp. It wasn't like he didn't belong at the camp, but he was nowhere near the top of the other guys we had at camp, And so look at him now and how it turned out. He just blossomed into a terrific player. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, running the Nike All-American camp, one of the guys, we had more kids invited to that camp, but that was held in Indianapolis. We would invite 150 to 200 players to that camp. And it was during the summer months, and Kevin Durant was heavy on my list. One of the first trips I made, part of my thing was to build relationships with players. And one of the first trips I made working for Nike was flying into Washington, D.C., and meeting with Kevin Durant, his stepfather and mother, and his AAU coach. We just sit down at dinner at Ruth Chris and had a nice dinner. And a part of that is building that relationship and hoping that I can get him to camp. Well, as it turned out, he had summer school and had an obligation where he couldn't make it to camp, and he showed up the last 2 days of camp. So this is where it gets a little interesting. So I still decided to invite Kevin to come to camp. He said, "I can come for 2 days, Coach, if you want me to." I said, "Yeah, we'd love to have you." So he comes out for 2 days and he ends up getting MVP of the camp.
Jeez.
And so I have to make that decision, and I give him. And so I got a lot of static for that. Like, wait a minute, he shows up, he misses 3 days of camp, and he shows up in 2 days, and he gets MVP of the camp. So those were the two extremes. But the joy of that was, I think it working for Nike. Obviously, it was. My coaching experience helped me work for Nike because it helped me with the ability to identify players. And I think you're always evaluating and trying to see if a player can play at a certain level. Well, at Nike, it was even more fine-tuned because now you're dealing with the elite of the elite, the top of the top. And that's really, really hard. When you're trying to find the top 20 players in the country or in a certain position, you have to really, really have the eye for that. And I think I honed my skills in terms of evaluating by doing that beforehand. And then when I got to Nike, I think it even became better. So now as a college coach, in terms of evaluating, my experience at Nike has helped me tremendously here at the University of Iowa. A is the evaluation process I worked on, but B is the connections I made while working for Nike. And, working for Nike, you have maybe 60, 70 AAU teams that are under your umbrella. So you're dealing with all these AAU coaches and directors. And I think that has helped me with relationships. So, and when I talked to Fran about coming to school here and working with him, I said, Fran, I'm not saying I can call up an AAU coach and he's going to deliver a player, but I think I can call up an AAU coach who's going to pick up the phone. I said, part of it is just being able to connect with these coaches. Right. And that helped me when I got on board here my first few years here at Iowa, because I still had those relationships built with like Boo Williams down in Virginia, and Renee Pulley in Minneapolis, And so it was a great experience, rubbing shoulders with not only some of the best in the world in terms of the NBA players and collegiate players, but even dealing with celebrities, Hollywood people, Michael Jordan's camp. I would work Michael Jordan's camp. It was called a flight school. And you'd see Will Smith's wife walk in with his son, and they would play in those camps. So in terms of that, it was just a glorious position. And I got this moniker, like people would say, that's the Nike man. Like, I really wasn't a Nike guy, but in their mind, their perception was this guy is walking in the air. He's the guy that carries the power because he's the one that's inviting these great players. So my phone would ring off the hook. And when I took the job, I asked George Raveling, I said, George, it's one of those things, a business thing you do when you interview for a job. You say, okay, George, what's the toughest part of the job? And he says, you got to say no to so many people. And truer words have never been spoken, because you have everybody thinking that their son belongs in that top 20 at a skills academy. And so you have this thing where your phone's ringing off the hook and everybody's trying to push a certain kid, a certain player. And eventually you have to say no to some kids. And that was the toughest part of the job. But I wouldn't trade everything. I thought it was a great experience for me. I did it for 5 years. But I still enjoy coaching college basketball, having a family, a team around me, the staff, the trainers, managers, fan support, etc. So, again, I've been blessed in that regard, no doubt.
Now, you mentioned just connecting with people and your ability to make connections with that job. I also read that you have an amazing connection with players too, whether it's recruiting them, but then even whenever they get on your team, like you have that, I guess, relationship that lasts with players. Now, can you attest to that? Is there a reason for it? Like, where did you learn how to make connections growing up?
I think in life and in business, it's all about relationships, but it goes back to what I said earlier about the why. Like we do certain things in life, and I think once you can connect with and identify your why, I think it helps you become successful in any endeavor. And as I said earlier, I just enjoy helping people succeed. Like I said, my high school coach took me under his wing, and I don't know where I would be had it not been for him, because I had basically given up on basketball. As an eighth grader and ninth grade, I got cut from my basketball team. As eighth grade and ninth grade, I was at George Washington Carver High School. This was before they had integration. We had segregated schools. I would bus 8-9 miles to George Washington Carver, and Bassett High School, which was a predominantly white school, was a mile from my home. And I just decided to go there the year before they had forced integration. And basically, I just feel like, I said, Coach Nestor was the reason I made it out of Bassett, Virginia. No disrespect to anybody there, because he gave me an opportunity. So as a 10th grader, I sat the bench, did not play hardly at all, but every day after practice, he kept me in there. During the summer months, he would come pick me up and drive me, and he would give me some drills, and he'd play me one-on-one and kick my butt. And by junior year, I became the leading scorer on the team, averaging 18 points a game. And my senior year, I averaged 22 points a game and got a scholarship offers. So I ended up at James Madison, but Richmond recruited me, Virginia Tech recruited me, and all because of this guy, Coach Nestor. And so I felt like, you know what, I'm going to give back. I'm going to do that. And so now it's about, why am I doing it? And so when I'm recruiting kids, I like kids, high character guys, and I love to see guys do well, And I love to see them come into the program, and I want to work with them and coach them and teach them not only drills to improve their game, but just talk about life. And, when I was young, my first opportunity at the University of Maryland, I'm coming in from James Madison, but I had instant credibility with the players at Maryland because during that summer before I came on board, I was playing in the counselor game at Justice Camp. And but I was a decent player, and I had much respect. So I'd gone into respect of everybody in that Maryland circle. So, but it was about building relationships with people like Buck Williams and Albert King and Ernie Graham. And they all respected me. And so because I'm young, I can shoot the breeze with them, but there's a level of respect. And so I learned that if someone respects you, then you can build that relationship, but they got to know that you care. Mm. And so I put this formula together where I'm going to work with them, but they got to know that I care about them not only, and I'm not going to be a yes man with them. I'm going to tell it like it is. And I was always that buffer between a player and the head coach. And so they all knew they could come to Sherm, because they felt like I wasn't that much older than a lot of the guys, but they felt comfortable coming to me. So from that point, as an assistant coach, I was an assistant for 15 years. So I spent most of my career being an assistant coach. And my job is to, recruit players, identify great players, bond with those players, and deliver those players to the respective schools. And so I know the most important part of that is building relationships. And I've always done that. And even when I became a head coach, I think the players are I hate to put it like this because people think we're talking about an inanimate object, but they're your assets. And if you don't take care of the players in your program, you're going to falter. And so I've always done that, and I always felt like I have a rapport with all our players, and not just the players I recruit. I have a tendency to we do this, it's just natural. Guys you recruit, and you're primarily responsible for bringing into the program, you spend more time with those guys, but I do it with all of the players. I do it. And I've been, I'm getting on up there in age right now, but I still have a way about me. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things, like I said this to one of our players at the end of the season. We were sitting around and they called everybody coach. Coach McCaffrey, Coach Spiro, Coach Taylor, Sherman. Like, I'm the oldest guy on the staff, but the players feel good enough and comfortable enough to call me by first name, and I don't care. And I think that helps, that breaks down that barrier. And we have nicknames, and they call me a nickname. I'm not going to share that with you, but that's the kind of and it doesn't bother me. Like Coach McCaffrey sometimes will correct them and say it's Coach Dillard. And I said, no, I'm good, I'm cool, because they know that we can have that kind of relationship, and yet they still respect me. If I'm giving a scouting report, all eyes are on me, and they're listening and everything. Off the court, we can have all kinds of fun and playing pool with them, ping pong, and all of that stuff. And I think and another thing that coaching has done for me, it's unbelievable. It's kept me young.
Yeah.
It's kept me young, and you talked about a dress code, so they get a kick out of a dress code. Like Len Bias used to love the way I dressed, and Jeff Baxter, Adrian Branch. And I'm not bragging. I don't know if I'm that.
No, hey man, everybody speaks very, very high. I mean, where did that even come from? Because they talk about you in this bow tie. I mean, your dress game. They say it's not even a competition. You're just killing everybody out there.
Well, it's funny. I guess it's my third or fourth year here. The media they kept calling me up to basically interview me, they call the sports information guy up and say, we want to talk to Coach Dillard about his dress code. And 3 times in a row, 3 years, I said, no, I don't want to talk to him about that. He said, why? I said, I don't want to be noted for my dress. I have a resume as a coach, and I've done extremely well as a college basketball coach. If he wants to talk to me about recruiting, I'll talk with him. If they want to talk to me about my ability on-floor coaching, I'll talk with him. But I said, I do not want an article about my dress code. I really don't, because I think it says he's just a sharp dresser.
Right.
And I says, so twice I turned him down, 2 years in a row. I said, no, I'm not doing it. And he couldn't understand why. I just don't want that to be my thing. I don't want them just judging me based on my dress code. It's a secondary part of who Sherman Dillard is. So finally, I think it was last year, I decided to give in. And it could be only because the guy said, listen, I'll make that a secondary part of the article. It won't be, Sherman Dillard's dress code. So he did an article, and it was about 1/3 of it was about me coaching and my background, but the other 2/3 was still about my dress code. And, so I got ripped a little bit about that and locally and all that stuff. But I don't know. My mom told me to just dress a certain way to impress, and I don't overdo it. I think it's just. I got into the bow ties. It's funny. I was wearing bow ties at Maryland for a while. That's when I was young. I was, mid-20s, and I wore a bow tie a couple of times, and I never wore one since. And I got here, and I don't know what tricked me to put on a bow tie one day, and I wore a bow tie, and the fans, Twitter now. Everybody's talking about this, and we won the game. So I wore the bow tie, and we won the game. So now it's one of those things. And stupid me, I get on Twitter and I go, fear the bow tie. So I post fear the bow tie. So now the fans are on this whole kick about I got to wear the bow tie. So I started wearing the bow tie like almost every game. And if I didn't wear the bow tie, the fans would rip me on Twitter. Like, Coach D, where's the bow tie? Where's the bow tie? I go to a golf tournament in the middle of the summer. In the middle of the summer, it could be July, and I'm at a golf tournament, and fans will come up and say, where's the bow tie? And I got on a polo shirt and shorts. So it was something that I just kind of had some fun with and ran with it, so that's it.
All right. Major respect. No, the last question, man, before we let you go and everything, just wanted to talk a little bit about, man, when you got inducted into the JMU Sports Hall of Fame, man, what did that mean to you?
It's very touching, and I was honored. As I said, I was the first one in my family to go to college, and 7 of us growing up, and I was 5th in line. And I chose James Madison because of Lou Campanella, the head coach. Liked him, an Italian guy, fast-talking guy. My mother liked him. And then Mike Fratello, another Italian. You're talking about sharp dresser. Now, Mike is a sharp dresser. And so I just had a terrific experience there. I went in without it. Here's my mindset. And I wish kids had this mindset today. I went in with the mindset, I'm going to go to college and hopefully play JV ball my freshman year. And hopefully, maybe by the time I'm a junior, get a chance to play varsity. And then in the meantime, I'm going to get education. That was my mindset. Little did I know that I would come in as a freshman and start as a freshman on the varsity team at the time and average 20 points a game and score 20 points a game for my whole career and score 2,000 career points and become an All-American. So James Madison, to me, it's a classic example of picking the very perfect fit for you. I could have gone midway through my career in Madison. I could have transferred and probably Virginia or Virginia Tech, bigger programs at the time. But I was loyal to JMU because JMU was loyal to me. And Mike and Lou Campanelli did such a great job of keeping me grounded. And I had a great experience there. So when they called me up and said that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was floored. I really was. I forget the year that was in the 80s, but it was I remember being there, and they inducted 2 or 3 other people at the same time, and obviously I cried before I went up. But that place is dear to me. It really is, and it still is. And You know, I spoke with every coach that's been there since I left. I just spoke with the new coach, Mark Byington. Just got the job, Lou Rowe, before. The guy that got the job right after me, he was my assistant at one time at James Madison.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the AD that was there when I was there, Jeff Bourne, is still there.
Bourne was there that long?
Yeah.
Gee,
yeah, Jeff Bourne. Yeah, he was there when I was there.
Wow.
Yeah. They hired Jeff. I think it was my second year there. Came in from Virginia Tech. You know, and shoot, his sons and my sons used to hang out together a lot. And he and Mary Lou were there. You know, so he's been in my house. I was at his home. Yeah, so
awesome.
They're good people,
man.
Really
awesome
good people. And you know, the late Ron Carrier, the president, was the one that was behind all of that, and he's the one that built that program from scratch, from being at one time a ladies' school, a girls' school, to Division II to Division I, and to, like I said, Lou Campanelli taking it to the NCAA tournament, hiring Lefty Drizel before I came there. So beautiful school, and now academically it's doing great, and football is doing a terrific job. I mean, they've won a national championship. So, but again, I'm humbled by all of that, because if you knew where I came from and the town I grew up in and the dire straits I grew up in, I think you could relate to how proud I am of where I am and what I've been able to accomplish. And I just hope that I can continue to give a few more years to this business, if you will, and continue to stay healthy, continue to have good friends, and continue to build good relationships.
Man, I like that. Hey, Sherman, man, we definitely appreciate you again for hopping on the podcast with us. This has been a blast. We wish you nothing but the best going forward, man. So, yeah, just keep being great in everything that you do.
Yes, thank you a lot.
All right. Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you.
Be good.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.